Hi, and welcome to the Hague Tech Podcast. We're doing the second part in our interviews of getting to know the host with myself and Thomas, and I'm just going to hand it over to him so that you guys can get to know me in hopefully not too long and not too weird of a context.
Feels strange, like doing your own introduction.
Yeah, so welcome to my interview, I guess.
But it's actually interesting, that feeling, that uncomfortable feeling. I think that's a feeling you encounter a lot when you have your own startup, right?
Yeah, and it's something that I always get when I talk to people because I'm working in the art world, and I'm an outsider in the art world. It's something that I'm slowly getting into.
Maybe for the listeners, what do you do in the art world?
Okay, so I have a startup called Art Bay, and my company is Holland Park Media, where we're creating a platform for you to be able to collect, trade, auction, display art. And you can go to museums, galleries, and such, and collect art for having gone there and build your own collection.
Cool. Sounds great. But back to the inconvenient or uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah. So the uncomfortable feeling in that context happened when I was confronted with people who I was interviewing, who, when I explained to them the concept of the company, immediately said they can't work with me because they don't believe that art is for everyone.
Is art for everyone?
I believe so, but that's not what's there. It's the part that I was confronted with this, to me, an uncomfortable view. But it was so important not to just take it as an uncomfortable view and move away from it, but to confront it and to try to understand. And those were by far my longest interviews with the people that said they couldn't work with me and didn't agree with my concepts, because it's important to confront the people that confront us and to create uncomfortable situations in which we can gain from.
Yeah, create uncomfortable situations. Talking about uncomfortable situations, how did you end up here at the Hague Tech?
I don't know if I'd call that uncomfortable. It's I very randomly had a friend of my dad's, Michael Lopez, who was working at the Peace Initiative between The Hague and Stanford, who knew Brian, one of the founders of the Hague Tech. And Michael Lopez is an old family friend who actually got me my first concert tickets ever.
Oh, really? To which concert?
I went to a school in Germany where Carlos Santana played in the school. And I was the only person with tickets because of Michael Lopez. And it was just a great experience and connection. And then it happens again. I hear that he's in The Hague and that he's met people from the government and the tech scene. And we asked, okay, I'm looking to put myself into that ecosystem and see where I can go in The Hague. And
he introduced you to Brian.
Yeah, and he introduced me to Brian, and I was shocked to meet Brian, a mid-late 20s guy who was entirely not the image of the 50-year-old banker that I was expecting, with what I've learned from the tech scene in other places, and where it's not the people that have grown up in the tech scene that are running it. It's the people who have taken the opportunity of the tech scene who are running it. And this place was truly built by the tech scene and the entrepreneurial ecosystem for the tech scene and for the entrepreneurial ecosystem.
And what was your interest in the Hague Tech? What were you looking for?
So I am a huge Hague fanboy. I love this city. I love it literally down to the toilets. And
love the Hague down to the toilets, people. That's
and if you haven't seen the pop-up toilets here in The Hague, I would highly recommend to go out at night and search for some of the pop-up toilets.
Really?
Yeah, that
How come?
Simply pop out of the ground, are not a blight on the city during times of high activity and during the daytimes, and it's a very progressive way to deal with an important problem in public urination. And to have them not be a stain on the city, but to really be incorporated into the city.
Cool. But going back from toilets to technology, you ended up in the Hague Tech. And what's your experience? I mean, you've been here for a few weeks now.
Yeah, so I have grown up in a entrepreneurial tech environment, from spending most of my childhood around big media companies and around startups in animation and in filmmaking and entertainment. And growing up, going every summer to Stanford and spending a lot of time in San Francisco and Silicon Valley, I was always confronted with these things. And I always took them and was interested in them, but it truly took me going to university and trying different things and realizing that my place was really in business and tech. and then going and making sure that I had both the background in tech and business. I did the business background by going to a business school and getting everything that you need to build that base to be able to do what you want to do. It's not very specific education, but it allows you that base of work. And then to work in startups and tech-focused startups as an intern, and to bridge this gap between business and tech where I believe I fit. I like to say that it's very difficult to translate business speak to tech speak and vice versa, and it's very important that people can do that, and that we strive, if you're a tech person, to understand the business speak, and if you're a business person, to understand the tech speak, and because then you can take advantage and use all of the resources around you, and that's how I've built up my education to be able to do that.
And you ended up in The Hague, and usually, just a sidestep, usually Dutch companies, crave to go to Silicon Valley, San Francisco, but you did the opposite. You thought, well, been there, done that, got a t-shirt, just go to Europe. And
well, I've always loved the relaxed, practical, straightforward environment of The Hague in Holland. It's really that it's not cutthroat, because that's part of what I see with all of my friends and coworkers in Silicon Valley and in other tech hubs, is just the continuous cutthroat nature of having to work 24 hours a day, not because the work needs to be done for 24 hours a day, but because there's this feeling that you're always on edge, that you're always at that edge of failure. And failure is natural, it's fine, we all fail, but that shouldn't be what drives us, is the fear of failure. And I feel like I'm now in an environment where if I fail, I can be successful because of those failures.
Okay, so the pressure is lower in The Hague. It's more relaxed. People are more open.
So
it's not about pushing. It's about providing.
Exactly, and I think low pressure is both a good thing and a bad thing. But I think that also comes down to personal pressure. All of us put a certain amount of pressure on ourselves, and we don't necessarily need society to be exponentially pressuring us beyond what we personally pressure ourselves, because we know what we want to accomplish, and we know what we want to do, and we know how we measure success. And everyone does that differently. And to take pressures externally to measure your own success is never going to allow you to truly build in your own success. And I want to be able to define my success. I don't want to have to fit into a template of success. I want to have the freedom to be successful in the way that I want to be, in the amount of pressure that I feel is suitable for me reaching that success.
And for the coming 3 months, what are going to be the biggest challenges for you business-wise?
So just with my company, we're doing a launch of semi-public beta next week.
Cool.
And
where can we find you?
You can find me on artbayapp.com, and we'll put that in the show notes. And what we're doing now is transitioning to a larger market take, because we're a B2C company. And one thing that I keep hearing is, B2C companies are impossible. B2C companies are tough. They're challenges that B2B companies don't have to fit, because Brian, the founder of the Hague Tech, actually put it in a great way that a B2C company always has to be a 9 out of 10. A B2B company can be a 7 out of 10. And that's where it comes into problems of success and market match and finding your way into a successful customer adoption, because you need customers to love what you're doing. And to be able to build it so that we find the people that love what we're doing and take advantage of their enthusiasm, because it's not my enthusiasm that's going to grow the product. I'm not a ShamWow seller. I'm not going to be out there like, hey, this is the greatest thing ever. I need people who are not myself, who are not invested in the company, to truly believe that for this to be successful. And to find those people and to promote them and motivate them is what's going to be difficult.
Cool. Sounds great. I think the upcoming 2 weeks are going to be very exciting for you. Is there anything people can help you with? People should give you a shout out because you're looking for testers or active users?
Yeah, so again, if you go to artbayapp.com, you can sign up for the beta, as well as we're always looking for new and emerging artists, because that's something we're trying to work with, is bring talented people to the forefront and break the mold of needing the validation of a gallery to be a successful artist.
Which is great here, because bringing talented people to the forefront is also what we do at the Hague Tech. So that's, I think, a perfect combination.
That was a totally natural segue.
Well, thanks guys for listening. Do you want more information? You can go to www.hague.tech. No, that's not good. www.hagetech.com. Thank you for that. Follow us on our socials. You can find the podcast, of course, on the channels, regular channels like iTunes,
YouTube, and
SoundCloud. And
sorry,
that's
I usually do the outro.
Yeah,
so.
but, well, it's a nice to experience, but I think next time you can do it better. So talk to you soon, and
a quick thank to both Martijn and the new media studio, as well as the Hague Tech, for providing all of this. And thanks again for listening.
Bye.